Hi, history lovers. Today we are time-traveling back to the roaring 20s and spending a day in the life of a flapper girl. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode. It's the 1920s, and women have been granted the right to vote. And while they still can't vote for president yet, they're making up for it by voting for their favorite dance crazes, namely the Charleston. Speaking of the Charleston, it is about 7 a.m. and our flapper girl has just woken up from her slumber. She has decided today will be a good day to sleep in, because she stayed out much too late last night dancing at one of her favorite speakeasies. This was no ordinary establishment, though. This was the Cotton Club, home to some of the best jazz music in the entire Harlem district of New York City. But don't let the jazz fool you. The Cotton Club was not a place where people of color were allowed to perform for a white audience. This club, along with others like it, enforced racial segregation even when the law did not. In fact, the only black patrons allowed in the Cotton Club were the performers themselves. After getting herself ready for the day, our flapper throws on a stylish dress, complete with a fringe, because what is a flapper girl without her fringe? As she makes her way down the street, she puts on her signature cloche hat, which is a close-fitting hat that has a flat crown and a small brim. She then slips on her long pearl necklace, which she received from her dear old dad as a coming-of-age gift. Her mother did not approve of men buying gifts for their daughters, but how could she say no to this adorable set of pearls? As she approaches the corner store, she sees a new shipment of bootleg liquor has just arrived. Being a good flapper girl, she cannot resist going inside the store to pick up a bottle of this devil's water. After all, what would the rest of the day be without a little liquid courage? It should be noted, however, that our flapper does not drink her liquor in a bar or in the open. She is far too aware of the dangers that come with being a woman who drinks in public. Women who drink in public establishments are often labeled as being disorderly and are frequently arrested for drunkenness. She would never put up with such nonsense, so she keeps her flask hidden under her skirt. Now that she has her bottle of booze tucked away, she continues down the road towards Central Park. She has heard there is a secret bar hidden somewhere in the park, and she is dying to know if the rumors are true. As she enters the park, she sees a group of young boys playing stickball, which is a popular street game played with a ball and a stick. She stops to watch them play for a few minutes and realizes she hasn't had any breakfast yet. Well, there's nothing like a good game of stickball to work up an appetite. She buys herself a nice pastrami on rye from a nearby food cart and takes a bite of her sandwich while watching the boys play. It is around this time that our flapper girl hears the sweet sounds of a saxophone, and she follows the music to its source. There, she sees a black musician sitting on a nearby bench playing a tune. Now, as we mentioned before, the Cotton Club did not allow black people into the club unless they were performing. However, many musicians from the Harlem Renaissance were still paid handsomely to travel to the south of France and play music in the local clubs there. This particular musician is no exception. He has just returned from a gig in the Cotton Club and is taking a break in the park. Our flapper girl is mesmerized by his music and decides to sit and listen for a while. They strike up a conversation, and she asks him if he would like to join her for a drink at the speakeasy later that evening. He happily accepts, and the two make plans to meet back at the same bench later that night. She spends the rest of the afternoon hanging around the park with her new musician friend, and they share a bottle of bootleg liquor while smoking cigarettes and talking about their dreams for the future. The music scene during the 1920s was unlike anything seen before in American history. Jazz bands were popping up everywhere, and many musicians were becoming quite wealthy. On the other hand, flapper girls were generally poor and had to work very hard to make ends meet. Most flappers worked as entertainers in some way, whether it be singing, dancing, or acting. Some flapper girls even became famous movie stars. Clara Bow and Louise Brooks were two of the most popular actresses of the era. But for our flapper, she works at a table in a restaurant, taking bets on which man in the establishment would ask another man to dance first. She is pretty good at her job and usually walks home at the end of the night with enough money to buy a new dress or pair of shoes. But tonight is not the end of her story. She has plans to go dancing at a local club, and she needs to get ready. As the sun begins to set, she heads back home and begins to prepare for her evening out on the town. She puts on her favorite dress, a knee-length beaded number with a low-cut neck. She then puts on some rouge to add a bit of color to her face, because God knows flapper girls are not shy about using makeup. She adds a bit of mascara to her lashes and draws her eyebrows together, because what is a good party without a bit of eyeliner? She finishes off her look with a bold red lipstick and grabs her feather boa from the closet. She is ready to hit the town. She meets up with her musician friend and the two head to the club. They dance the Charleston until the early hours of the morning, and our flapper girl feels alive. This is her element, and she loves every minute of it. For a brief moment, she forgets about the troubles of the outside world and just lets loose on the dance floor. But all good things must come to an end, and eventually it is time to go home. As they walk down the dark, empty streets, our flapper girl feels a sense of sadness come over her. The night was so much fun, and she wishes it could last forever. But tomorrow is a new day, and she has to get some sleep so she can do it all again. She lives in a boarding house with several other flapper girls, and they gossip about their evenings while doing their nightly routines. One of the girls mentions that she saw a handsome young man at the club tonight and wonders if he might be interested in becoming a bootlegger. Another girl says she thinks she might take up smoking again after seeing how cool it looked with the new guy. They discuss their plans for the next day, which include going to see a matinee and perhaps taking in a show on Broadway. As they climb into bed, our flapper girl thinks about the day ahead of her. She is excited to see a show on Broadway, but she also knows that it will be difficult to get a good seat without any money. The average price of a ticket on Broadway during the 1920s was $3.50, which was a lot of money for a poor flapper girl to spend. However, she also knows that she can't afford to miss this show. It is one of the most popular musicals of all time, and she is dying to see it. So she gets up early, goes to the box office, and waits in line to buy a ticket for the matinee. She doesn't have much money, but she is willing to part with every cent she has to see the show. After getting her ticket, she heads home and climbs back into bed. It is only 8 o'clock in the morning, but she is exhausted from the night before and needs to catch some sleep. She wakes up an hour later and gets dressed for the day. She doesn't have much time, so she throws on a simple dress and runs out the door. She makes it just in time for the show and spends the afternoon laughing and clapping along with the rest of the audience. As the curtain falls on the final act, our flapper girl feels a sense of satisfaction come over her. She has had a wonderful day and is grateful for the experience. The 1920s were a time of great change, and she was lucky enough to be alive during this era. So what do you think? What would you have done if you were a flapper girl for a day? Let us know your thoughts. Also, remember to check out our other videos. Thanks for watching.